I've been a nurse for 6 years, working the night shift at a small hospital in rural Ohio. The hours are long, and the quiet can get to you, especially when the halls are empty and the lights hum. You hear stories from other nurses, strange shadows, cold spots, but I always brushed them off as exhaustion. That changed in March 2023, when I had an experience on the third floor that I can't explain, no matter how hard I try. It was around 3 a.m., the deadest part of the shift. I was doing rounds, checking charts, when the call light for room 312 flicked on. Odd, since that room was empty, budget cuts meant we'd closed that wing for the night. I figured it was a glitch, but protocol said I had to check. The hallway was dim, the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly, and the air felt heavy, like before a storm. I pushed open the door to 312, and my breath caught. A man sat in the bed, upright, staring at the wall. Pale, gaunt, with thinning hair and a hospital gown that looked too big. I checked the chart at the foot of the bed, blank, no name, no admission record. "Sir, are you okay?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. He didn't move, didn't blink, just kept staring. His eyes were wrong, cloudy, like cataracts, but they seemed to see something I couldn't. I stepped closer, and the room got colder, my skin prickling. "Sir, you're not supposed to be here." That's when he turned, slow, and looked right at me. His mouth opened, but no sound came out, just a faint wheeze, like air leaking from a tire. I backed out, heart pounding, and called security from the nurse's station. When we returned, the room was empty, bed made, no sign of anyone. The call light was off, and the chart was gone. I checked the system, no record of a patient in 312, not that night, not ever. Security thought I was overtired, but I know what I saw. That face, those eyes, they burned into me. The next night, I was back on the third floor, dreading it. Around 3 a.m., the call light for 312 went on again. I froze, my hands shaking as I grabbed my flashlight. The hallway felt longer, the lights dimmer. When I opened the door, the bed was empty, but the air was freezing, and I heard it, a faint wheeze, like before, coming from behind me. I spun around, nothing. Then the chart at the foot of the bed caught my eye. It was blank except for one word scrawled in shaky handwriting, my name. I didn't go back to 312 after that. I requested a transfer to day shifts, but the hospital's understaffed, so I'm still on nights sometimes. When I pass that wing, I keep my eyes down, but I feel it, something watching. Last week, I found a patient chart in my locker, blank except for that same shaky handwriting. "You saw me." I burned it, but it doesn't help. On quiet nights, I hear that wheeze in the halls, and I know he's still there, waiting for me to answer his call. I've worked the night shift at a gas station off I-40 in Arizona for 3 years. It's a lonely spot, just pumps and a flickering sign, with desert stretching out forever. The job's boring, restocking snacks, mopping floors, but you get used to the quiet. Sometimes, though, the quiet feels wrong, like it's hiding something. In August 2023, I had an experience that made me question what's out there in the dark. It was around 2 a.m., no customers for hours. The radio was on low, playing some country song, when it cut to static, loud, grating, like a signal gone bad. I fiddled with the dial, but it wouldn't stop. Then, through the noise, I heard a voice, faint and garbled, "Look outside." I froze, glancing at the windows. Nothing but darkness and my reflection in the glass. The voice came again, clearer, "Look outside." My heart started racing, but I told myself it was a prank, maybe kids messing with a CB nearby. I stepped to the door, peering into the lot. The pumps were empty, the neon sign buzzing faintly. Then I saw it, a figure standing just beyond the light, tall and still, like a statue. I couldn't make out a face, just a dark shape, maybe a coat or a hood. I flicked on the exterior lights, but they didn't reach far enough. The figure didn't move. I grabbed the store phone to call my manager, but the line was dead, First time that had ever happened. Back at the counter, the radio was still spitting static, now mixed with whispers, too low to make out. I turned it off, but the noise kept going, louder, like it was coming from inside the store. The air felt heavy, and the lights flickered, casting weird shadows on the walls. I checked the security monitors. Nothing at the pumps, but one camera, pointed at the back lot, showed the figure closer, standing by the dumpster. Its head was tilted, like it was listening. I locked the front door, heart pounding, and waited for dawn. The whispers grew, forming words, "Come outside." I stayed put, watching the monitors. The figure moved closer each time I looked away, until it was right outside the glass, face still hidden. The lights went out, plunging the store into darkness, and the whispers stopped. When the power came back, the figure was gone, and the radio was silent. I quit a week later, but I still drive by that station sometimes. The new guy says the radio acts up at night, picking up static and voices. Last month, I found an old receipt from that shift in my jacket, crumpled and faded. On the back, in smudged ink, was written, "You didn't look." I don't know what it wanted, but I feel it watching when I'm out at night, waiting for me to step into the dark.